We join now via Zoom by Vukile Dlamini. Vukile joins us live from Eswatini. Thank you very much indeed for making the time.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Talk to us about your journey. Talk to us about how long you were in Ukraine, where exactly were you, and what forced you, I'm using the word force, you can correct me, to leave.
Okay, so I was in Ukraine. I was studying medicine. I was in Ukraine for about a year and maybe about 4 months. So we had just still been in Ukraine. And then when the tension started going on, our teachers from our school told us that, no, this was nothing to worry about. The teachers in Ukraine told us this was nothing to worry about because I think sometime in 2014, the same thing happened, but it never resulted to actual war. So then the day the school universities they released us to go back home was I think the day before Friday, which was I think Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember we left Vinnytsia, which was a small city next to Kyiv, about 3 hours away. We left Saturday morning. Yes, we left Saturday morning because we got to the border at night, Saturday night. And then it took us about 8 hours just to cross over the gate to the Romanian side.
I just want to get a sense of what you were experiencing when you heard about what was going on in terms of what the Russians say is a military operation in Ukraine. Take us through that part of it about a week ago when you first heard that this is happening.
Okay, at first, as foreigners, of course, we were a bit afraid. I mean, for example, the Indians at our school, they were in touch with their embassies, and the embassies asked if they could be, released and everything. But then the teachers would just calm us down and tell us that we should not worry. Nothing major will happen. So we did believe them, even though we were on our toes with everything, we did believe them. And then when things escalated, that's when we started to, panic. But then we were trying to stay calm, so that our families back home can also stay calm and everything. But then it was not easy to stay calm because even the Ukrainian citizens, they were panicking. So imagine us as the foreigners there. So we were trying our absolute best to try and stay calm. And once the school released us, that's when everyone started making plans on leaving Ukraine and everything. That's when people were leaving to the Polish border, others to the Romanian side. And then others now are going to Hungary, Slovakia, I think. And yeah.
A lot of the students have reported ill treatment when trying to leave Ukraine. What was your experience? Did you experience that?
We did experience that at the border, but I just want to make it clear that the Ukrainians are great people. As the bus that we took, it dropped us off several kilometers from the border. So we had to walk a very long distance. So there were some Ukrainian citizens that were there offering us some hot tea and some bread so that, we do not go hungry or we don't become cold. But the problems were when we got to the border. We did not get that type of ill treatment from the citizens. No, it was the soldiers and the police there at the borders and everything. So many people were getting frustrated there. They were getting frustrated. So the soldiers would shoot in the air, for example, to try and calm the people down. But that eventually made people panic even more. And then they proceeded to shoot on the ground.
I just wanted to be clear, which soldiers were these? Could you differentiate if they were Russian or Ukrainian military? Could you even tell?
Oh, no. At the Ukrainian borders, there were Ukrainian soldiers.
Okay.
Yes, there were Ukrainian soldiers. Yes, not the Russians. No, we didn't get in contact with. We didn't come across the Russian soldiers. No, we didn't. And then so also we had some friends from other cities. When they would try to get on the trains, they would be pushed out of the trains and everything. Not by the civilians. No, not by the civilians, because we were all just trying to escape from the war. It's not like we just wanted to cross over and just leave them behind. No, we just all want to cross over and go home and everything. So we were working together with other Ukrainians on the roadside, offering us tea and everything. But it was when we got the borders where
Yeah. I'm hoping that
we started
clears up.
seeing all of.
Vukile, if you can still hear us, the signal is not that good. Just repeat your last point, Vukile. Vukile, you can hear us?
Oh, I was.
Go on.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, just repeat your last point. Something that you were talking about, and maybe I can just jump in here and just give some context in terms of where we are. And I'd like to get your opinion of this period before the conflict with Russia. You mentioned something about 2014, and if I remember correctly, that was the time that Ukrainians were protesting because they wanted to join the European Union, and you saw a lot of clashes between citizens and police, many injuries. It was a devastating time, a devastating period there. So since the time you landed in Ukraine and studying there, talk to us about the period before this all happened, before this conflict started between Russia and Ukraine. What was it like living there?
Ukraine is a great place. I mean, everyone who was studying Ukraine can just tell you that Ukraine was our home far away from home. I mean, we started developing one of the greatest relationships with the people there, as foreigners, and with some of the Ukrainians. Like, for example, my landlord might have come across with. And Ukraine is a great place for everyone. We've all developed special relationships there. Studying there was great. It is a beautiful country as a whole. So yes, that's what I can just say.
We're losing that signal a bit, but let me just try maybe one more question to you before I leave you.
Okay.
Would you go back?
Definitely. All of us want to go back. I mean, that is our home away from home. The greatest relationships that we have built are also there in Ukraine. We don't have our families there in Ukraine, so we built families there in Ukraine. So right now, as students, we're speaking and hoping that, this war ends immediately so that we can go back and resume our studies and everything. We do want to go back when things get better, because, I mean, some students, they were only left to about 2-3 months before they could graduate. So everyone just wants to go back and so that we all reunite again. I know that not everyone from everywhere will go back, but then, we are fighting to go back. Hopefully things will die down soon and we can go back and finish and graduate.
Yeah. Now that this signal is behaving a bit, let's just finally get your thoughts on what was happening at the border. Pick up on that point that you were making before you lost signal in terms of your experience there.
At the border, we got, there was some complications at the border when we got there. There were 2 gates, one for Ukrainians and then one for foreigners. Someone was explaining to me that perhaps maybe the fact that the Ukrainians had their own gate was maybe because they didn't need us. So, the foreigners would get so frustrated, so they'd even push over to the Ukrainian border as well. The Ukrainian gate by the border. And then so that was when everything started to get bad. The soldiers would start shooting in the air, and they'd shoot on the ground next to the people's feet. And then one of my friends there, because they said that girls first. So then us as girls, we were able to push you. So when they would open the gate, everyone, imagine thousands of people pressing against you whilst you're at the gates, they're fighting to go in. So then when they say girls first, and then everyone, hundreds and thousands of them would just push through. People were fainting there and everything, you know. But so when the gates would be open for the people who have fainted to go over to the other side, people would just push from behind. So all that pushing, it frustrated the soldiers as well. That's why some of them would get tackled. Like the soldiers start tackling some of them and everything just to try and calm them down, maybe, you know. So yeah.
Yep, it's such interesting perspective that you bring, such interesting insight, the lived experience in Ukraine. Vukile, we wish you all the very best. Hopefully you can return to that and resume your studies. Thank you very much indeed for coming on and explaining it. Be well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Vukile Dlamini, the student who just recently returned yesterday, I understand, from Ukraine.